Welcome, you guys. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You bet. We'll just wait here just another minute or so, give everybody a chance to join in, and we'll get this started in 1 second here, guys. Welcome, guys. We're just going to give everybody just another minute here to trickle in. Maybe got a couple more here. Let's just wait and hang out for a minute. Hope you guys are doing great.
You too. We actually have some work that we could use this on, so it's
Excellent.
great timing.
Perfect. Perfect. It looks like maybe people have slowed down joining. So I'm going to just share some sort of overview, high-level slides first, share a quick reel, and just touch on different capabilities, etc. And I'm sure you guys, well, I don't know if you guys have been playing around with it or not. But I do want to just touch on some high-level stuff and then I can go and ask some questions. I'd rather answer some questions and see if we can hop on Dream Machine itself and just run through a couple of things that I've been doing personally that I've had like really great luck with, and um, just kind of how to access the different features, how to do different things with Ray 3, and just show some of the generations that I've been really liking. So I think I'm going to get started, and then if folks start trickling, I might just admit them as I go here. Here's somebody else. Um, but okay, so Ray 3, really cool to have Ray 3 be the first reasoning video model out there. Also, even for me, even more exciting than that is the fact that it's the first model out there to generate HDR and EXR outputs. For those of you out there who are maybe colorists, VFX folks, folks that need layer separation to go in and edit different colors at different bit depths, etc. This is a really, really cool step from a video generator, and I'm super happy that it's available because the results can be really, really stunning. We are always kind of tinkering and tweaking and figuring out how to make it better. So as we go here, you're always going to see some changes, even day to day sometimes, in this early stages of the launch. So you guys are not necessarily guinea pigs, but you guys are sort of the first wave to also try this. And so for me, it's really important to get feedback from you guys. I'm gonna, at the end of this, I'll drop my email in the chat here. That way you guys can have that and ping me with cool results, also with questions, again, following up, and with potential issues you're having, things you're seeing, patterns that are coming up that you want to bring up. Because for me, it's really important to bring that stuff back to engineering and figure out how to move forward by tweaking and tinkering. We're always, like I said, wrenching away on this under the hood to always continue to make it better. So yeah, that being said, let's just really quick touch on the model strengths, the places where we're seeing the model really, really shine, and just places where it's giving some really strong outputs in starting with physics, simulations, particles, fluids, explosions. And I'm going to run through this stuff kind of quick so that at the end we can get through some questions and stuff. Ray 3 really delivering high motion fidelity, stable simulations, natural flows of particles, coherent fluids, consistent explosive dynamics, really punchy, really forceful explosion graphics that look really, really nice and look really, really forceful on screen. Then touching on world motion, understanding, exploration, how Ray 3 sort of moves through the world and understands space, and how it sort of explores different environments, showing really, really great spatial reasoning, maintaining a really good sense of depth, perspective, really a stable sense of scale, that like stomach drop moment. It makes really, really great outputs in that sense, and just stays really coherent across all kinds of different environments, which is really great. And then touching on character anatomy, action sequences, animation, different art styles, different art forms, how it holds on to those styles, preserving anatomical accuracy, expressive movement, fluid action sequences, keeps characters mostly consistent, believable, impactful on screen. Um, and then touching on close-up details, lighting effects, the way that is able to preserve those really, really fine details, those clear textures, surfaces of all kinds of different sort of details there, and just lighting in general, reflections, glow, shadows, all while staying really, really consistent and really lifelike there. Now I'm going to just show a quick reel, you guys, so watch this with me. Hopefully the streaming does a good job here. It was a fun one for me to make and always a fun one for me to watch. But you can really kind of see all the mix of all those different points that I was just kind of getting at there. And um, Now I just want to also kind of go into a little bit of the new features of Ray 3 and really getting after fidelity, consistency, and flexibility and more control. Starting with HDR and EXR, like I alluded to before, it's really great to be the industry first here and aiming truly at professionals in the space and being able to have EXR and HDR to control the color and go in there and edit the colors in different depth and different layers. Then the reasoning model, the way that it's able to judge and refine its own outputs in real time, kind of going through step by step and trying to figure out what it is that you want before generating something final. Also added to reasoning is visual annotation, allowing you to scribble on the actual start frame, telling the model where to go, what to do, what elements to bring in, and how to animate different things. Um, and then draft mode, something that I'm having a great time with as well. And that's the ability to create low res previews, safeguarding your credits a little bit more and giving you much faster outputs and only and really allowing you to only upscale what you love instead of having everything be upscaled right away. You're really able to just kind of go much faster with 360p outputs and then really upscale only the ones that you're actually going to use. Um, and first, touching on HDR and EXR, again, as I mentioned before, but here is really just a couple examples here, just the raw flat HDR output on the left here, and just a couple examples of it in action after editing into more of a daytime color and then more of a nighttime color as well. And then the reasoning model that I was just speaking of, the way that it's able to judge and refine outputs in real time and create more stability and more consistency in your results. And it's really trying to be more of an assistant and trying to be more of an intelligent video model here. I have yet to like really dive into this personally, but I'd be really curious to know once you guys start playing with it if it's something that is useful to you, that works the way you want it to work, etc. Here on screen, you can sort of see that example where, you know, she's first starting out with kind of like not the right phones, and then figuring out that, you know, this is not what the scene is calling for until finally it kind of gets something that maybe looks good and looks more down the vein of what you were actually asking for. Um, so yeah, and as you can sort of see here, it's kind of like attempting to do a better job at judging its own output. And it does this in draft mode. So it's creating multiple videos, but very cheap videos until finally it gets to the final output that it thinks you're gonna like. Um, this is that annotation piece that I was talking about. You guys have probably, or some of you may have seen this out there. It's just really nice to bring this in to Dream Machine natively. So really being able to take your start frame and then right within Dream Machine, be able to annotate, tell it, you know, for this fish, for example, turn left and move across the screen. Or also right on the screen and telling it what to do, not just a direction, but telling it, you know, a UFO should appear here, the cow should float up, the cat should, you know, jump from stone to stone. Just a good, a nice addition to Dream Machine here. And then um, being able to this with draft mode, being able to have these low res 360p previews before the full render, saving you time, resources, while allowing really, really fast experimentation, and then only upscaling exactly the one that you want. So straightforward, but really super addictive once you start playing around with it. And then touching on the compatible features, the sort of legacy features, the things that we're always used to in Dream Machine, with Ray 3 sort of taken up a notch here and elevated a little bit. Image to video, of course, taking keyframe, animating that into motion. Text to video, creating a video just from your written instructions. And then extend, being able to add length to your video at the tail end or at the beginning, 5 seconds at a time. And that's through prompting or not. And then keyframes, being able to interpolate two different frames, start frame and end frame, in the way that Ray 3 is able to transition between the two. And then loop, being able to create seamless, endless looping animations. Really fun for GIFs and stuff like that. Quick example here of image to video, no prompt. Here's the original keyframe image at the bottom left, and then on screen here, and it's a GIF, so you may not see all the detail that well, but you can still kind of see the nuances here. You know, the lightning looks a lot more natural here. The beard, the way that flows in the breeze, looks really, really nice and natural. And even those raindrops that are moving quickly on the sides of the screen there also look really, really sharp. And you know, as you can see in that keyframe, you know, it's sort of taking that hint, understanding that motion and understanding that it's, you know, moving towards you because of that rain that's kind of moving backward. So really intelligently deciphering what's going on in the image, translating that into motion. Here's a bit about keyframe interpolation and the way that it transitions between a start and an end frame. Just really dynamic, really smooth, natural transitions from start to finish. And just making these transitions feel really cinematic and really natural, like if it was, you know, one take. And here there are the two frames that I use, the start frame, the end frame. You know, and here's the slice of that animation here on the side. And the markers that I'm looking at when I'm sort of testing this. And you know, first starting with the seamless scale shift, with the way that it goes from sort of this medium shot to a close-up. And it just really looks natural. The camera movement even is really drawing you into that scene and almost moving around as if it's really being shot, and looking really, really seamless in that sense. The material fidelity, you know, it's going from like these really hard, you know, his armor has got these sort of hard edges, etc., and a very solid texture, to then going into this translucent kind of a see-through look here on the second frame, and just keeping those details there. Um, the lighting continuity, you know, it's not blowing it out, it's not over darkening it. It's again just really listening to those frames. Um, and the cinematic flow going, you know, it just feels like a scene. It feels like it's going Like it was just one shot. And so for the most part, this is really, really holding and not falling apart in that sense. The structures of things, you can see certain wires and certain things that are really staying put and they're not falling apart, not doing that kind of weird morphing where it sort of disappears, etc. Um, and then the color harmony, I did pick two that are pretty similar in color, but I just wanted to show how it holds on to that, and it's not sort of adding anything that wasn't there in the original image instructions. Advanced style adherence, rate 3, really excelling here, preserving the original keyframe look and feel, that vibe from this keyframe here on the bottom left, and just keeping consistent fidelity across all kinds of different motions. And I'm a huge fan of old school kung fu movies, and so I generated this keyframe to sort of test that and see how it would hold up. And for me, I'm looking at these aesthetic markers here on the right to test against, again, the cinematic lighting. It's not being blown out. It's not over darkening. It's staying really true to this original keyframe. The depth of field, those camera effects are really staying there. Even as the camera is sort of zooming in slowly on his face, you're still seeing that bokeh in the back. You're still seeing the focal point being true to this original keyframe. Um, the film grain, the texture, all staying there. Obviously, I want that look because this keyframe is guiding that, and the model is responding accordingly. The atmosphere staying really sort of intense. This original keyframe has got this intensity to it, and the model's understanding that and then translating that. And this is a no prompt, just an image as the prompt generation. And so you can see it's kind of holding on to that intensity and that vibe. Um, the color palette, this original keyframe has those muted blacks and like very faint highlights. And as you can see in this slice here, it's holding on to that. It's not over darkening those blacks. It's not over brightening those highlights. It's really just staying true to that original image. And then the surface details, you can see all those little droplets of sweat, the hairs, the rain in the background. It's really holding on to those pretty strongly. And then finally, that retro aesthetic, that like 1970s kung fu movies look that I love, staying true and not really falling apart, not over sharpening into something modern looking, something that will look a little more photoshopped, a little bit more AI. This is really holding on to that original um, instruction. And then text to video, this is really about kind of how it responds to different types of prompts, different length prompts, etc. This example here, a very short little prompt, macro close-up of a rattlesnake about to strike. I'm giving the model all kinds of freedom here to create a bunch of details, but I am controlling the details that I need, which is the macro close-up, and it's the rattlesnake and what the rattlesnake is about to do or doing. And so as you can see, it's listening to that. It's really giving me a good macro. And it's giving me a rattlesnake. And it really does look like it's about to strike. All the other details, the lighting, the terrain, everything else, it's making that up on its own. And it's doing a great job in this case as well. Touching a little bit further into that prompt adherence, just how it's got improved understanding to be able to adapt to different prompt styles, different lengths, and still keeping really accurate and really reliable results. Starting with this long, long story type of prompt, maybe something you get out of an LLM, where so much detail, so much color, working well at this level. At some point, a prompt is just too long. But even here, which to me, this is like a very long prompt, you're really trying to control every aspect of the scene. Still doing well here. Then going into on the right, the top right here is sort of a condensed version of that, still natural language, but much shorter, less control of every single detail, but just controlling the detail that you want. And that is kind of my tip about prompting in the end is like, try to only control the things that you want. Give the model a little bit of room to dream, a little bit of room to create on its own. But if you give it too much room, then sometimes you're kind of exposing your creative direction to a lot of holes and just giving too much freedom to the model. But a good balance is to me key. But also doing really well with this on the bottom left with this sort of like laundry list style prompt, very tag heavy, very keyword heavy. without any real like natural language in it, this is still doing really well as well. Um, and then that tiny little short, succinct prompt, the one that we just saw in action, also doing well with those kinds of prompts. My kind of favorite is either somewhere in between that very short one and then that sort of medium length. So the ones on the right side here are sort of where I live, somewhere in between there. Um, yeah, so that is all that I have for you as far as my slides go. First, before I jump into anything else, I really want here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I really want to field some questions from you guys first, and then I will jump into Dream Machine and go into just some stuff that I've been having a lot of fun with, um, and um, and then still answer some questions. But off the bat, anybody have anything that you're either having issues with or you're just like trying to know more about? And that anything I can answer, anything that I can like shed some light on? Hang
Yeah, I
on.
have a quick
Yeah, go
question.
ahead, Lauren.
Um, it was interesting to me that you said in the prompt section just now, like that's a lot to try to control first go. With this level of the tech that we're seeing, which is crazy, as someone who doesn't like end of world movies, I'm like, oh no, we're going to generate such realistic end of world stuff. Um, would you advise us to start with more like the core of what we need and then do those, not try to get it all in one swoop, save our time and get it
Yes.
through versions?
I would. I would.
Okay.
I would advise you to do that, and I would also advise you to start to try that in draft mode first. So you'll turn on draft mode, and then you'll be able to create a lot more, a lot faster, and start testing out those theories. You know what I mean? Start testing out like, is a short prompt going to work for me here? Is a
Mhm.
medium prompt? How much am I really trying to control? And what should I give the model? Where should I give the model the freedom to sort of dream and make up its own stuff? Before you go in there and just start prompting your life away. You know, for me, it shouldn't be so much about the prompt. There should be some kind of balance between prompt and visual.
Mhm.
I personally absolutely love image to video. That's more control for me in a way. It gives
Mhm.
me a lot more, yeah, it gives me a lot more creative control because I'm giving it the keyframe, and then I'm pushing a little bit more with a prompt added to it. So it does great with just an image as a prompt. Awesome. But, you know, sometimes if the image um, isn't sort of hinting at some movement or hinting at something, then you're going to want to add a prompt to sort of reinforce a little bit, add more creative direction to it, and drive the model to do something that maybe the image isn't really hinting at quite yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like the fish crossing forward to the left out of the pack would be a good,
That's
they're
right.
going this way. I want this fish to split off. Yeah,
Yep. And you
that's
know,
super
if you
helpful.
and you can also do it like you can annotate that, which is actually really helpful now. But if you can also do it through prompt, right? Like the make the blue fish swim to the left. And so in that sense, you can also drive it a little bit with the prompt, and it listens really well. And I'll show you a couple examples too to kind of showcase that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, you bet. Who else got a quick question before I just jump into my dream machine? Cool. Okay. Let me then share my screen somewhere. Have
I also think there's a question in the chat about audio dialogue lip syncing and output resolution and clip length.
Yes. Tell me a little bit more about that. Your question on that. Basically, like, is it there and is it working? Is that your question?
Oh, I just saw that there's one in the chat from David that said
Oh,
audio
I see. I
dialogue lip
see.
sync.
Yes, that is coming, my friend. So all in due time. We have a list of all kinds of different features and different things that we are always working on. Now that we kind of have a much better, more stable, more realistic model to begin with, then that's when these things really start getting fun and getting a lot more interesting and a lot more effective. So yes, and then output resolution and clip length, we are limited at 5 seconds per clip, and then you can, with certain modes, you can do 10-second length. and then you can always extend, I think, up to about 30 seconds, with 5 seconds at a time. Um, but yeah, in SDR and in I think HDR you're limited to 5 seconds. SDR, I think you can select 10 seconds at a time, whether that's 540p, 720p, or 1080p. And then Dream Machine, within Dream Machine, you can then upscale to 4K, all the way up to 4K as well. Um, cool. Let me get into this really quick. Okay, so I wanted to share, what did I want to share? Okay, something that I found really, really interesting was extending with a prompt. So, and sorry, I don't mean to get you dizzy here, but let me just make sure I'm in. Okay, so this generation was this was a, I used a keyframe here. This was a Midjourney generated keyframe here, sort of the spaceship landing. And then I just said a spaceship hovers over the desert before landing, lots of dust. And this is, again, this is like my kind of prompt, right? Super direct. I don't need to control anything else besides this. Like that's all I really needed to control in this case, right? And so here's the spaceship. It's sort of like about to land. It's sort of descending here and it's kicking up a lot of dust. Looks really nice. All of a sudden I saw this rope hanging down. And mind you, I'm testing this. I'm not really creating a short or anything here, but I'm just testing and seeing where things go. And so this rope sort of came down here. And at first I was like, well, I don't need this rope necessarily. But then it gave me the idea, like, what can I do with that rope? So this is at 720p SDR, and this is at 5 second length. And so I, rolling with this rope, I went down and I said, um, a man, as an extend, I said a man runs into the frame and starts climbing up the rope. So you could just see immediately Ray 3 is like, okay, and gets the man that runs into the frame and just starts climbing up the rope, right? And again, very simple prompt, nothing crazy here, just very direct and trying to just understand how well it would handle this. This is upscaled to 1080p, but as you can see here, this is my original 720p output, which still looks great. But as just so you know that you can upscale here within Dream Machine itself. So that was a really interesting experiment here, being able to have this guy run in, look really realistic, and then start climbing up that rope. I continued, um, I continued to run with that and see how far that would take it. I just did an extend without any prompt and just seeing where that would go. And the guy really just starts, he continues to climb up that rope, keeps going up and hold on as the spaceships kind of continue to move up. And then here, another extend on top of that. And then I added, he climbs up the rope and crawls into the ship through an opening. And so you can see, the guy, he continues to climb. And then all of a sudden, makes his way up and then climbs into that ship right through that opening right there. So like really nice listening to my prompt, listening to what I'm trying to say. And something to note here is like I didn't control any aspect of the spaceship. And so once you see here in the front, that red thing disappeared. So I bet you if I wanted to control this and to keep this in there, that's the kind of detail I want to add on there, right? Crawls into the ship through an opening next to the red light on the front or something like that where I'm again kind of like alluding to that detail that I wasn't able to control. Okay, before I go on much further there, I do want to give a little rundown of how to access all these things. So I'm just going to start a new board. And here's just an empty composer screen. This is for you guys that don't know, this is where I'm adding my prompt. This is where I am uploading my keyframe, whether it's a start or an end frame. You can also just, let me grab a couple references here. This is where I can also just, I drag my start frame in there. I would drag my end frame in here, and that's where I would then add my prompt and transition between both, or not add a prompt, just see how it does on its own. Once I upload a keyframe here, As long as I am, and this is the settings panel here for those of you that are not familiar. Once you click here, this is what you're seeing here, everything that is selected, all the modes that are on. Um, Clicking here, this is where I'm going to select my model. This is your Ray 3 model. This is your Ray 3 reasoning model. And this is your legacy models here, Ray 2 Flash, Ray 1.6. With Ray 3 selected and a keyframe in place, I'm going to click on this scribble icon or this scribble icon or the keyframe itself. And this is where I'm going to enter the annotation mode. And here I have a few different ways to do this. I have it starts with my paintbrush selected, where I'm basically going to draw here and say and like add this direction, and then I'm going to select my text editor here, drag a box and say, the soldier walks to the right, something like that, right? And then I'd say I want another direction. I'm going to click on this color. Every time I click, it's going to give me a new color here. And then I'm going to say, um, whoops, select this guy. Then I'm going to say, you know, monster raises his arms up to add another level of direction here, right? Does that make sense? Then if I don't, actually don't even know what this is, but if I don't want that and I want to delete that, I'm just gonna scribble right over what I did and delete what I had before. What is this? Oh, this is just an arrow builder. So then I can also just use this arrow builder for more precise arrows, I guess. Um, and then once I'm done with that, I'm going to hit done. I just erased everything, but I'm going to hit done. And then I would just hit go here, submit this for generation. Um, Now for draft mode, you're in RAID 3, you're in SDR, and this little toggle is how you're going to turn draft mode on. And here is where you're gonna submit this. This should go about 5 times faster than usual. We'll see how heavy the queues are and see how long it takes for this to submit and go. But you should start seeing this start to dream like pretty quickly, like probably within 35 seconds, you'll start to see it dream. Let's see if that holds up here. And this was me, yeah, like it's already in dreaming state. And this was me, no prompt, just seeing what it's gonna do. I'm already seeing some action here in the back. And then as soon as this is sort of starting to generate more, I'm gonna see, well, first I'm gonna see this frame around it, this dark frame around it, showing me that that is in draft mode. And then my go-to is just show more. And I just hit show more like a bunch of times. And then I just have it dream and just start to do its own thing. And then in another 35 seconds to a minute, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna see a bunch more options. Then when I'm really happy with an option, I'm gonna click in it. I don't necessarily use this right here because somehow it's like a little buggy. So I go into detail mode, which is just clicking on that video itself. And then this hi-fi shortcut, I'll click there. And here's where I can upscale it to different resolutions and then different formats here. I can go HDR, I can go HDR and EXR, or I can stay in SDR and just upscale to 1080, which is what I typically do. And then I'll just let that upscale and let that do its thing. Once, I don't know if you can see this little tiny icon up here. This means that you have upscaled, you have done something different to that generation. And so every time you want to access it, you just click right on there. And here on the side, like you just scroll over this little mini hamburger kind of thing over here. And this is where you can see your original. So you can see it started in draft mode. And here's your upscale, which is right now upscaling. Um, and then again here, you're seeing all the different draft mode generations here for you to choose from starting to populate, and then you're just going to move through all of that and see which one it is that you really want. Um, so that is draft mode. To pick HDR from the get-go, something actually that I really like to use is after I've generated something, this chiclet up here, this tells me what I did before, right? It was in draft, keyframe, Ray 3. I click here and I just do reuse message. It's going to load up everything that I used for that generation right back into my composer. If I had a prompt, it would load up my prompt here as well. Everything that I use will just, all the settings will get loaded right back in here. It's really nice to just, once I don't want to do everything over again, I just want something, I just want to make small tweaks using the same exact settings. That's a really good way to transport that back into your composer. Um, then in here, if you want to go to HDR mode off the bat, then you would just go to your settings panel. Right here in this drop down, you would then select HDR, or you would select HDR plus EXR if you wanted to generate an EXR file as well, because you cannot go back and do it again. You can upscale, but it's not going to be the same. You'll see that as you go. You want to try to go at it from the get-go if you're generating HDR. That's my personal experience. Um, Here, something else that's important here to note is that HDR off the bat does not work in 1080p. You're locked into 720p at the highest with native HDR. I believe you can then upscale it to 1080p HDR, but you cannot generate it from the get-go. And also, like I mentioned before, you cannot do a 10-second generation with HDR currently. So if you want to do 10 seconds, you'd be in SDR. And then I guess I cannot do 10 seconds now. Can do two videos, but I cannot do 10 seconds. I should be able to do 10 seconds. Hmm. Okay. Well, no 10 seconds at once. I will check into that because I thought that was the case. Um, but I can extend into 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 25, I think all the way up to 30. Um, so that is all of that. Again, the reasoning model here, you're going to choose the Ray 3 reasoning model up top if you want to try to experiment with that. And, for me, the use case for reasoning is like I talked about before about how if your keyframe, for example, doesn't have any inclination towards a certain motion or towards a certain conflict or a certain event, that's when you want to try to use reasoning. When, for example, the image is, let's say it's this robot here, and you don't, you want to bring something else into the image, or you want the soldier to do something that is completely different than what's here. Maybe he turns around and he crouches down as the robot then sort of explodes in the background. I don't know, which is not existing in this keyframe at all, right? That may be the time when you want to try reasoning. I personally do my own reasoning with draft mode. Like I will just try it with a prompt or I will try it with a keyframe myself. I'm just like a control freak that way. But that's when might be a good time to try to experiment with reasoning, accessing this reasoning model. Um, yeah, that is what I wanted to show you. What else can I answer for you guys as I keep thinking about other stuff here? And I think you can feel free to unmute yourselves and or raise a hand or anything like that.
How often do you find yourself like trying to correct what it's generating? Like, do you find that it often gets based on your prompts, like it correct in the first few prompts, or do you have to spend some time trying to like fix it, especially when you're using like the annotation feature?
I find like, for example, I did have like a weird time with annotation yesterday. So like, for example, I tried to annotate this duck turning and then going back. But you see how long it took him to turn? So like I really just wanted him to turn like right away. And I couldn't get him to turn until the end. I didn't try that many times, but in two times that I tried, I still didn't get it. So that's something that I sent to engineering, like, hey, my annotation's like behaving kind of funky. Like I shouldn't be having to try so many times. It should really be going, or what am I doing wrong? Am I giving it the wrong instruction? Like, should I be doing this a little bit differently? So with annotation, I found myself trying more times than by just prompting. Um, it it did things quicker when I was prompting. Like I showed you with that guy climbing up the rope, like that to me was really fast. That happened in just one try. I saw the rope and I was like, how many times is it going to take me to do this? And it was fast. It was very, very quick how quickly it got there. Same thing goes with this. Like this is a hilarious thing. But I had these like chicken nuggets here and I wanted an alien hand to come in here with just an extend. And like it was fast, like very quickly kind of like came into this frame here. And again, I did it a few different times where like different hands came in, different ways. Like this one, I just loved the way that came in. And I didn't want the alien, I just wanted the hand. So like for me, this worked. Um, it was this was one, two. Let's see what this one comes up with. This was on a second try for an extend. Pretty good, but you could see it's a little bit, not quite what I wanted. Three on the third try here is when I got what I wanted to see, kind of my goal. That I really like that. Um, and uh, I started here with where's my chicken nuggets? Yeah, like I started here with just one 720p generation here, just this 5 second gen. And this was off of again, off of a keyframe, like sort of my go-to. Another Mid-Journey generated keyframe. Something good to point out is yes, I absolutely love Mid-Journey. Like that is, I probably will never stop making images with anything other than Mid-Journey for now, because that's what they specialize in. But it's good to point out that we now have, if you're in images, we now have image v2. So we had photon, but now we do have image v2, which is helpful also. And it's also helpful when I'm trying to do like reference images. I'm uploading something and then I'm describing a change with that reference. So like let's say I'm uploading an image of a man standing like looking at like a parking lot. But I want that same guy standing there looking at a parking lot. I want the background to be a canyon and not a parking lot. I'm just going to upload that image here. And then I'm just going to in V2, which is better than Photon, and in reference, then I'm going to say change the background to canyon. This is how simple your prompt should be, by the way, when you're doing any kind of like modification. A transformative verb, change, add, remove, make, um, what it is that you're trying to change, and then what you're changing it to. That's to me like a really good place to start. Then you can layer on some details if you want some details. But that's kind of my go-to structure there. Very simple, very direct, especially when I'm using something as reference. Um, so what else can I answer for you guys on this front?
When you were showing the rope come down, right? Like
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And then you talked about how you went into the having the man run up. Did you change the keyframe from the original one? So like how did you keep it the same and then like basically yes and it? Like do you just does it know automatically to keep everything the same and then just keep adding on to it or
It knew automatically how to do it, except for, remember, I kind of alluded to the fact that the spaceship is changing a little bit
Mhm.
because it's hiding, right? This is an extend. So it's actually picking up where I left off. It's not necessarily reading everything from the beginning. It's picking up where I left off. So if I want to control that red thing there, like I want to bring that into this prompt. And this is something that I will need you guys to also experiment with and see how it holds up, right? Because here, for example, this spaceship is totally different now. Once it hid from view, right? It's hiding from view now, totally hiding. And now it's going to introduce the spaceship back. And now it's a different spaceship, right? So that to me is where you want to bring in more detail. But this is still going off of the same original keyframe. I'm really just, what I'm doing here is well, I'll go back up to that original one, which was it this? No, this looks different. Oh, this is fun too. I just had like a bunch of little spider bots coming out. But I went to the original. This is 9 seconds, 9 seconds, and 5 seconds. So I just, I click in here and I just hit extend. And this is
Okay.
where I put in where's my prompt? Um, this, I took this prompt and that's where I put it in here, right? After I went to extend, right? And that's clicking into the video, going into that detail view and extending. Another way to do this, another way to do this is actually you can literally grab this video. You can grab it and drop it in here. And then you can start changing where this video goes. Remember, it's 10 seconds at a time that you can upload a video to that composer. But here I can start my video from anywhere within that little timeline. So now I would apply that. Now it's going to start from that point on. This was a failed generation here for me, but this, yeah, like that, this version here. I would drop this in and then I would maybe start from start from right here if I wanted to maybe continue the scene from there. I didn't like what I saw at the end. And then I'm going to, sorry, I am in video. I mean, I am in, uh, in image mode here. So back to keyframe, because now I'm kind of using that video as a keyframe, if you will. So I can also do it that way. I can grab a video, bring it in here. I can even add another end frame to that so that it goes from these 18 seconds and then transitions to that final end frame that I'm going to give it to. Or I can add my prompt here as well, and continue from where this video left off. So that's a really super helpful feature, is really being able to grab a video anywhere, bring it in here, and then continue from that point on, right?
Thank you for that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Anybody else got any other questions that I can help, that I can answer? We got
It's not
in the
a
chat.
question, but I appreciate how much you allow the AI to show you what it's thinking and experiment with it. I have to say I've gotten a little like
Mm-hmm.
control-y,
Yeah.
and this has been a big refresh to like let me see what it does. I love the tiles that you were showing us as well. That huge wall of tiles. I think you maybe were in draft. Were you in draft mode there?
In here, or is this what you mean?
In your original presentation, you had shown like I think you had also shown us draft mode just a few minutes ago,
Oh, yes,
where
yes, 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 yes.
yeah.
So that, and I think that was just a visualization of this, where, I mean, if I am, if I'm here and if I'm doing draft mode, like I'm just going to be, um, I'm going to be generating all of those different ones, and it's just going to come up as one big, like long kind of string. Is that what you probably meant was you meant in the presentation when it was showing the animation of it and it had like a bunch of different tiles in it?
Yes, correct.
I think that was just a visualization. Sorry.
Oh, I see. No, it's all good. I appreciate it to visualize draft mode because now I understand
No,
that,
yeah.
that
Yes.
you don't have the time to be experimental when you're doing everything final. So it's really cool to see how you do it.
Yeah, and this is how it would show up in
This is it, yeah.
practice, right? This is how it show up, and this is gonna be like one idea. Then I can also, I can reuse my message like I was showing you before. You either click up here, reuse message, or click here, reuse message, and now I have it again. Now maybe I want to do a different idea, right? For this same thing, but I want to do a different idea. Then I'm gonna get another one here, and then I'm gonna break that out again in draft mode. I'm going to break that out in its own sort of branches from that like single tree here, this idea. Yeah. So eventually I would have like a whole board just filled with the same thing, but different ideas. Or maybe there's different scenes, maybe it's just different like parts of that movie, but different scenes, starting with the same keyframe or different keyframe. So it can kind of organize it that way. Um, each one of these should be treated like an idea. And then when you're in draft mode, each one of these is sort of like a different version of that idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a lovely shaping tool.
It really is. And it's fun. It's addictive. Be careful. Let's see. Somebody else has a question. Still don't have the access. Um, Here, I'm going to, Valentino, I see your question there. I'm going to send you, gonna send you my email address, even though, and actually for everybody, just to have this handy, although at some point I will get a little overloaded, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. Um, Send me an email here, especially if you're having issues, and you want to get at me for any reason. You want to tell me something that you're seeing that's a problem, or you want to show me something that you're seeing that's amazing. Please share that too, because I also showcase different generations and stuff on newsletters, etc., and would love to, have great content. And then just in general, any trouble you're having, feel free to send me an email. I might refer you to the right person if it's not me. But yeah, thank you, Candace. That's great. Perfect. Um, what else can I answer for you guys here? Cool. Okay, well, that being said, I that is all that I have for you guys. And you have my email address. Um, I would be happy to do some kind of follow-up in the future too. If there's more, you're welcome, Felipe. And if there's any more that you guys want to see, just again shoot me an email. Feel free. I would love to chat and look at stuff, and we can set up another call if we need to. But I think you guys probably are armed with enough to be a little dangerous now with Dream Machine and maybe with Ray 3. Um, so so yeah, thank you guys for coming, for your time, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Have fun with Ray 3, and um, you're welcome. Thank you, Lauren.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so reach out to me if you need to. Otherwise, I will see you guys around. And thanks again for being here.
Thank you. This is great.
You're welcome. Thanks, Lauren.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks.
You bet. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Lucas. Cheers.
Thanks.
See
Take
you
it
guys.
easy.
You bet.